Hello?
Yes.
Oh, I thought my internet had died.
Ah, alright then. So fighting games are.
Fighting games are not too exciting in the news department, at least this past 2 weeks, though honestly I just woke up so I can't recall perfectly.
Yeah, I kept up with some news and I'll post them, but first I'm gonna put the bingo card on screen. So people can
Yeah.
play along with that if they feel like it. By the way, schedule slip is just a free card or whatever, a free spot. Pretty much.
Yeah. Until I get my shit in order, it is a free spot.
So yeah, now it's gone. Yeah. So let's see what news I got. Well, for one, a new 2D indie fighter is being developed with Newgrounds characters.
Ha! I thought I saw that, yes.
Alright, so I don't need to post the link to you then. Or should I?
I believe I've already seen it, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I'll post it anyway. So yeah, there's that.
Heh.
Now
Yeah.
that's gonna be an interesting thing because I only remember like 4 Newgrounds characters that they still use at least.
Ha!
It's a thing where like there's so many people worked on characters that defined Newgrounds that getting a hold of all of them and getting all of them to agree is gonna be an undertaking. I don't figure they will.
Yeah.
Like I forget what his name was, but there was this like kid character that used to drink a lot, and I even know the guy who owns that character. Like I watched the guy's content that he's made since then, and like I figured they could get a hold of him and freaking like get him to agree, but then they would have to like think of reaching out to him first,
Yeah.
and that to me seems like the biggest issue here is that like aside from like a couple of core characters that I assume the people working on this would own, who else can they get? And like would people actually
To be
recognize
honest,
them?
I'm
Yeah.
to be honest, I was never much of an expert on the Newgrounds guys.
I
Like the
yeah.
mainstream Newgrounds guys. When I was a kid, like I watched like the stick figures kill each other stuff, but I never watched like the main like Peepo, tank guy, whatever stuff, you know?
Yeah, me neither. I didn't even like. I don't think I've ever visited Newgrounds, just straight up. But I saw a lot of that stuff rehosted on other sites, so that's where I know a lot of that stuff from, and I know things like I forget the name of the guy. It was like a 4 letter name, but it's like this ginger kid who would play like rock paper scissors, and if you lost, then he'd kill himself because it was in
Mm,
2000s.
I was that Peepo? I think that was Peepo.
Oh yeah, it may be him. But yeah, like I got to know the Newgrounds characters, the ones that I know through other sites, and so like I know of some of the people who worked on like Newgrounds stuff and had a name, but like most of them I got to know of like well after they stopped making stuff on Newgrounds and just like did other stuff. So
Yeah.
that makes it hard for me to even be like, oh well, they need to include this character or that character because I don't know if that was like inherently a Newgrounds character.
Yeah. I mean, it's just always exciting to see a new fighting game that, you know, could do something new, kind of indie-ish, like that.
Yeah, and I mean Friday Night Funkin' turned out fine, so maybe this will be good too. Hell, if imagine imagine if this does just become like a Friday Night Funkin' thing where they start working on it and then get like a good base, and then just like include mod support, and people just add their own characters.
Well, everybody dreams of having a new Mugen because the Mugen that we have now is, well, it's
30
not
years
really all
old.
that different than it used. Well, yes, it's quite old.
That's the only problem with Mugen is that it's like 30 years old.
Heh.
There was Ikemen
20.
still. It's pretty fucking old.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was Ikemen that tried to add in like network play. But I don't think Ikemen is even Ikemen is supposed to play like that well on network. So I assume somehow getting a new Mugen up that has rollback would just like fucking
Heh.
skyrocket people more or less. Especially if it's not just like inherently on engine, if it's actually like a game that you can build up on. Because like the one of
Well,
the other issues with Mugen is that like if you don't like Mugen is just an engine, so if you don't freaking if you don't know what you're doing, then you'll have Karate Man and Karate Man at the training stage.
yeah. Yeah, that would suck.
So basically, what I'm saying is that if they learn from like I don't know if this is the same team as Friday Night Funkin', I don't think it is, but considering it's a Newgrounds game, or at least affiliated with Newgrounds in some capacity, I would hope that they would look at the success of Friday Night Funkin' and then be like, hey, it worked for them to put out like different versions through development and then have the community just build itself up through mods and stuff like that and just be like, hey, that's cool, we can do that, and then just try to add to put that to a fighting game.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? I guess.
I don't really have any until like there gets to be, some solid concrete information, and even then, it's probably going to wait until like I could either get to grips with the game myself or what have you. I mean, like I think the idea of an online playable Mugen, as hilarious as it would call into question like, do you have to go to the Gary's Mod trouble of making it where people have to sit and download a mod every time they load into a match because they don't have that character? Yeah.
Yeah, that will limit online play by which characters you have in your game.
Oh, well, if it's got as much freedom as Mugen, that would be like too insanely restrictive, I would think. That like they'd have to make it where if you want to play online, you just had to go buy certain packs of characters instead of individual characters, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think if you got to that point where people would offer like this is the Street Fighter 3 pack, play a multiplayer with it. I feel like that if you did that, you'd start to run into the actual risk of the developers getting mad, which regular Mugen was so honestly poverty that the actual fighting game developers that the characters were being ripped from didn't mind. But if it starts to get more professional and get online support, that might start to scare developers, if not publishers.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway,
Yeah.
another piece of news is the second DLC team for KOF 15 was revealed.
Was it the Rock and Roll Band?
No, it was clone characters.
Oh, okay. The Rock and Roll Band is already in. It's just now the Orochi forms.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure that's significant for a lot of people who main the Orochi variations of the Rock Band.
yeah. For us, like for us mere mortals, we go well. They could have just like did the same thing that they did in '98 and just have them be odds.
It is curious, like, how are they going to justify the DLC budget for, characters who are already in the game but with different moves? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, animating is an expensive process, and I've not seen the trailer for these guys, so maybe they've got some crazy particle effects and shit.
But
But
I
it's
mean, even
certainly
then, you
less
don't need to.
exciting than the
Yeah, go ahead.
previous DLC offerings that they were saying they're providing.
Yeah, and even with like animating takes a lot of time, and I assume costs a lot of money. But I also assume it costs less money than designing modeling a completely new character when you just need to retexture them and reanimate them. You know,
Heh.
because like I don't imagine that like they did great enough differences between these versions of these characters and the base game versions that they would have to remodel them as well. And yet,
Honestly, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, it seems too ridiculous to me to just be outright, here are some slightly modified versions of characters that are already in the game as a complete DLC pack that we are marketing in the same way that we marketed the, actual entirely new characters. At the same time, of course, you know, SNK's been known to have bad ideas from time to time. Line is still broken. Right?
yeah. Although if you remember, they did say, "Well, tell us why the online is broken," and then they will ignore it. There was also a I didn't save this as a topic, but I guess I'll bring it up. There was also a rumor floating around that SNK may be getting into NFTs because apparently an account called something like KOF NFTs or some stupid shit like that posted
Of
about it,
course.
which everyone would just go, oh well, who cares? But apparently, at first the actual KOF account liked the tweet, which is what casted some doubts for people.
Huh.
And like basically the thing right now is that we don't know. Like there is no proof. In fact, if anything, this is fake. But it's kind of bad that it's believable.
Yeah.
uh, then there was also another KOF news. KOF 98 UMFE, I think. Yes, was that at the PlayStation Store? Where like you could buy UM anywhere, anyway, but you had to wait until now to buy the actual final version of KOF 98 because it was a
Does
PC
it make
exclusive.
any meaningful changes?
I don't fucking know. Like I think it may be balance changes. I don't know because I didn't really look into it.
I, the thing with a fighting game that's that old and got that much legacy is people generally don't want balance changes, even if they're good.
On one hand, yes. On the other, I assume that like most people would rejoice if Ignis didn't have that shitty S Infinite.
That's 2002.
Right. I forgot.
I don't blame you because the 2002 boss characters are all a bit bland, so it's easy to forget where they are. But yeah, that's a 2002 thing.
Yeah. What the fuck would they
I
have
don't
to
think anyone is.
balance in 98?
I don't think anyone at SNK is excited to try and rebalance 2002. I think that's one where there's a bit more expectation of jank.
I don't actually know what they would rebalance in 98 because like there, I can't think of any like majorly broken characters.
I can't either. Maybe one of the Rugals needed some change.
Maybe there's only one difference between UM and UMFE. Brian Battler's pizza does 500% damage.
Uh huh.
But yeah. Anyway, also in fighting game news that we don't really care about, but hey, it's news. New DNF tool character. It's a
Well,
thing.
that's nice for people who are interested in that game.
Yeah. This is one of those things where like I feel like I watched this video when I came across it, I can't tell you what's in it. So, I mean, I may have not watched it. I don't fucking know anymore.
Heh.
But yeah, let's see what else can I find any like quick news. Apparently, Multiple is getting a new season of DLC. Type Lumino.
Ah,
So that's
so they aren't just gonna leave the game and say, "Ah, fuck it, it had issues, not our problem."
not yet. I guess enough people bought into its season or like launch rather for them to justify a new season of DLC for Arxis, I guess, because Arxis would give the money to FrenchBet, right?
Good question. Thank
That's you.
you.
So that and JoJo All Star Battle R keeps releasing character trailers. Most recently,
Wouldn't several of the characters people have already seen because it's a re-release of a game with a few others?
well, it's they're mixing it up. So some of them are characters that people have seen, and some of them are the new characters they're adding in for the re-release because they're adding new characters.
Yeah.
And the latest trailer is Pet Shop.
Oh boy,
Yeah, if Pet Shop is
the
half a
forbidden one.
yeah, if Pet Shop is half as broken as it was in Heritage for the Future, people need to get ready.
I doubt it'll be as broken as the one from Heritage for the Future because
Probably not,
that one was a.
yeah,
I was just gonna say that was a special level of broken right there, brother.
yeah. Like the thing with Pet Shop in or like the thing with Pet Shop in this game is that like I feel like they would want to give a send off to Heritage for the Future, so they will do something that's like very sticky with Pet Shop. At the same time, they can't make Pet Shop play like it did in Heritage for the Future because then people will just not buy the game.
Yeah, I don't think a game dev will ever intentionally make a character broken OP as a send up to the character previously being broken OP.
I don't think they'll make it broken OP. I'm just thinking like they'll do some sort of callback, like maybe one of the move names or something. Like because like they only have so many like lines and stuff like to reference. So for the move names and all of the move names are references to something. So I figure they would like make a low flying fireball or something like that and just call it something broken.
Heh.
But yeah, and I believe that's all the news that I could conjure up.
All right.
Like the CEO is going on right now, but I don't think either of us watch tournaments that much. So
No. I've heard stuff about it because, I follow a few fighting game people on Twitter, but, definitely
oh no, he's gone.
I watch the occasional match that I hear is good.
Yeah. Well then, uh, I know you played fighting games this week. Like these past 2 weeks.
Yes, I did. Give me just a second to plug my phone in because you're getting inconsistent with the. I'm getting inconsistent connection here.
All right. Well then, viewer, I hope you enjoying this show and me
I
talking up
plugged it in.
afterwards. All right. Cool.
So, have you played any fighting games this week?
Well, let's see. I played a little bit of Exerd. of recording, and it's Xrd. I don't really have
Eh,
much to say. Like, it's
if there's one fighting game we've said enough about, it might be that game. That and Street Fighter Five.
yeah. Like I went back into mom mode, and I realized some things that I had forgotten about. Like I remembered them, I guess, through playing the game, and then I just stopped playing the game because
Eh.
mom mode can only be interesting for so long. So I did that. I downloaded Soul Calibur 6 but didn't play it
Eh.
because like it's like this will sound petty because it is. But I downloaded Soul Calibur 6 and then I read a post that was like, hey, none of the new characters have like arcade mode endings. And then I also looked at the cover for it on my PlayStation, and it has Geralt, and I just uninstalled the game because like it's I don't even
I mean,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. Soul Calibur 6 is really obviously part of that generation that Street Fighter 5 was also part of the 2010s. Of we don't need to put in content. We have multiplayer. And it's very, very, very noticeable because Soul Calibur was a success in the mid 2000s because of the sheer amount of single player content there was in that fighting game. So
Yeah,
seeing it go along with the Street Fighter 5 trend, it kind of kills it as a game, and you can tell that it wasn't much of a success. Though neither was Soul Calibur 5, and Soul Calibur 4 was obviously declining, so.
yeah, and like the thing is like usually when people ask about the single player content in fighting games, people still are like play play Soul Calibur 6 and also play Killer Instinct, and I don't know like the so I don't know about Soul Calibur 6 period because once again I didn't play it. Like I played the beta. I think was it a free weekend or was it the beta? I don't remember. I think I played both actually. Fuck, I was in the beta for that game.
Heh.
Memory unlocked. But yeah. Anyway, so or at least I think there was like an open beta, the like before release that
Heh.
I played on, but you didn't. Like I figured we'd do a video on it, and then you just weren't available for some reason. But yeah. So anyway, like I don't know about Soul Calibur 6's single player modes, but Killer Instinct's the Shadow Lord mode, as like interesting as the concept may be, it's not really like great single player content. Like it's just smarter arcade mode with like no endings, you know.
Heh. Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, so yeah, so Soul Calibur 6. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I'll ever actually like play it unless we want to record it for the channel. But like I'm thinking about it, I guess. And then similarly, I re-downloaded, or I guess downloaded for the first time on PlayStation. I downloaded Mortal Kombat 11.
All right. So, what do you think about the complete lack of creative freedom with that game?
Well, we've discussed this. I played the game for like 2 days when it was free on Xbox, and we discussed it enough. Then like
Heh.
I think I spent an hour just talking at you about how that game doesn't let you do anything. But
Heh.
like I went into training mode with Noob Saibot because I'm like, well, maybe I just don't remember enough of the game. Like it's been a while since I played even for those 2 days. So maybe and if I remember correctly, you said that they changed how the presets work. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's fine now. Maybe they fixed it. Maybe I will like the game this time. Going and loading as Noob Saibot. I try out his repertoire and I go, none of these link. Like barely anything. There's barely any like change for me to do here.
Yep.
I go, okay, maybe it's just Noob because I remember Noob is a zoner in this game. I go, okay, maybe I just picked the wrong character. I go with Kano. I try out his moves. He has even less links.
Yep.
I go, okay, maybe I fucked up and Kano was a grab character, even though I didn't find any command grabs in his move list. But maybe he's a grab character. I go and fucking go into training mode with Baraka. Because I go, man, surely Baraka, the guy known for fucking just assaulting people and dying, but surely he has stuff. And no,
Nope.
it was all footsies, which is like isn't inherently wrong, but that's three characters where it's all footsies. Ah boy, and like, and with some of these things, like I expect. Like I'm fine with like shorter combos and shit. Like I can be fine with it depending on the game, but like I'd expect shorter combos to mean, hey, here's a dialogue combo since that's MK's gimmick. Here's a dialogue combo that you can then cancel into special, and then you may be able to meter burn that special, and then that's the combo. No, no, your combo is either the dialogue combo or the special. Have fun.
Pretty well, yeah. I would say it depends, of course, on the special and the dialogue combo, but generally, yes, there are very, very few special cancels in that game.
My favorite part was
And
when with Noob, I did a special cancel once accidentally, and then I tried to do it like 15 times after it, and it never worked.
yeah,
And I don't know what was different about that time than the 15 times that came after it. So yeah, go ahead.
I distinctly remember with Kano getting to try one of his customizable moves. Was what is it? He throws like poison out in front of him while he takes a step back.
Oh, that's one of his basic specials now. That's not a customization move.
Okay, I was thinking like that's a shit move to be a customizable. I was thinking, okay, this move is so bad it must be like a stun for big combo. Because why else would it be so shit? And I kept trying to figure out, and nothing links into it, nothing links out of it.
Yeah, the only thing I could figure out with that one is for whatever reason, Kano is a set play character. Go figure. But
Yeah.
but if you throw a Molotov under someone and then you do that move on them, then it procs the Molotov or whatever. It like it sets them ablaze for a bit.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I could figure out for that move when it actually like worked with something else.
Oh, Jesus.
But like how do you take Kano, the fucking Australian, like, how do you take Mad Max? Because that's what Kano isn't anymore, pretty much. How do you take Mad Max and go, yes, set play character. He's the most skillful tactician. One of his moves is spitting on a guy and then headbutting him.
That move is easily the most amusing Kano move to do.
And like, when I look at that move, I go, yes. Fucking tactics.
Well, the amusing part is canceling the spit into other things, because you can do a certain degree of that. By the way, is the Molotov a customizable move?
I don't think so. I don't think so because I feel like the customization moves. Oh wait, I didn't take customization moves for him because I was fucking bored with trying to like I don't fuck. Why would you make it a thing where I have to go into customizing a character to set them up with a move set so I can then be disappointed by them? Like at least have an explanation for what the moves do aside from pictures.
Yeah.
Because like the pictures are fine, but also have like like a name and a short synopsis. Because like I can tell what Baraka's like spine thing does. Like I can see that he does the old like Venom from Marvel thing where he just like bursts around him, and like that's fine. But like there's an important thing to that where it replaces Chop Chop, and I can't fucking suck that out of the picture.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole fucking gimmick with changing moves for me. Is like I get it. It may have been a nice idea at one point, but the execution
Eh,
sucks so much that I can't endorse it. Like it just feel it genuinely just feels like, hey, we implemented all of these different moves that you don't get to use.
yeah. Well, it's an artificial way of it's an artificial way of making everyone feel like their version of the character has personality, even though everyone's version of the character actually plays the same because there's no room for expression in the way each character is built.
Yeah.
They simultaneously wanted every character to be so simplistic that you could jump into a match and know immediately what to expect from your opponent, but at the same time, they used the custom movesets thing to try and make it feel like there is player expression.
Yeah, they didn't do a great job. Like I yeah.
No, and on the whole, I think Mortal Kombat 11 was a mistake. I'm sure it was a profitable mistake because at the end of the day, NetherRealm is the only developer left that cares about giving single player content. But, at the end of the day, I think that wherever they go for Injustice 3, Mortal Kombat 12, they need to go in a different direction than what they did.
Are you saying every Mortal Kombat game shouldn't be one more day?
Heh. Honestly, I think it's going to continue to be that way just because Ed Boon wants to make a new roster. He's sick of these guys, but they won't fucking let him make a new roster.
I really want Ed Boon. Like I know this will get him into trouble, but the idea is amusing to me. But I really want Ed Boon to be like start developing a new Virtua Fighter by just being like, hey guys, let's make a new Mortal Kombat. And then he like speaks on with Sega on the side to license out the character for himself for professional use.
Heh.
And then just slowly being like, so what if Sub-Zero was a man in a gi and his name was Akira Yuki in this Mortal Kombat?
Well, it's been so long since there was a Virtual Fighter that nobody would notice.
Yeah. But like just the idea of Ed Boon fucking pulling a fast one on Warner Brothers with Sega's help to release a new Virtua Fighter is just funny.
It is, yes.
And the thing is, he'd do it. Like if it didn't get him sued, he'd do it.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah. What else do I really have to say about Mortal Kombat 11? Like, I don't. Oh yeah, my favorite point about this game so far has been how I went into into the towers. I go, okay, well, maybe the thing is that I'm in training mode and I'm not trying to like get used to how the actual game plays with like stakes and shit. So I'll go into towers and then see how it fares. I quit on the third match because I was bored of the game.
Heh.
Like I'm sure Mortal Kombat 11 was made for someone. It really wasn't made for me. Like there's just nothing there for me.
Yeah.
The worst part was my like every time I don't play NetherRealm for a while. I soften my stance on dialogue combo because I haven't been exposed to it recently enough for me to be like, well, I know how it feels for sure. So I can't really argue about how much I dislike or don't dislike dialogue combo. But then I just played this game and I was fucking like, I was in horror. I was shocked and just fucking felt horror at dialogue combo. And I don't know why, because like there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It just feels so bad.
Well, in Mortal Kombat 11, it's especially bad because it's the replacement for any kind of actual combos. And combos are a big part of what you love about fighting games. So it's legitimately like a cheap substitute for one of the things you actually love the most about fighting games.
Yeah, that may be it. Yeah,
It's kind of perverted in a sense.
yeah. It's like the fucking Mortal Kombat 11 is like me fucking like waking up in Rie.
Eh.
Or whatever. So anyway, I think that's all the fighting games I played.
All right. On my end, I haven't played a spectacular amount, but I have picked up the Capcom Fighters collection. Oh boy. I've put like at least 5 minutes into each of the games. However, I do not think I put a substantial enough amount of time into any game that wasn't Darkstalkers to really make a quality judgment. Let me just look over the games real quickly because I've got it open. But of course, they have all 5 Darkstalkers games, including the 2 that are exclusive to Japan. I have so far only played with the original Darkstalkers, which is a bit stinky. Not Street Fighter 1 stinky, but it's a bit stinky. The visuals are not so crisp. The inputs on some of the characters are insane. It's got a little bit of that old Street Fighter, like, input windows are unnecessarily hard sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's not Street Fighter 1 stinky, but is it Alpha 1 stinky?
Kind of. It's Alpha 1 stinky, it's Street Fighter 2 vanilla stinky.
Ah.
But then Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, or Vampire Hunter Darkstalkers Revenge in Japan, is a massive jump in quality over it. And it is pretty well just like, I guess, the new Challengers version of Darkstalkers 1. Because all the characters you're learning from Darkstalkers 1 have the same endings and stuff. Probably the same movesets. It's just that the inputs have been made a lot, more rational. Yeah. But also, the game in general, like the inputs are a lot cleaner, the visuals are a lot cleaner. And they threw in, Sienko and Donovan, who I knew Sienko was that old in Darkstalkers, but I didn't know Donovan was that old. Either which way, I haven't got to put in a bunch of time with the other Darkstalkers versions, but I certainly will in the future. Cyberbots, I launched. I did not know Cyberbots deal. First, it was like, all right, pick your pilot. Okay. Now pick your class of mech. Now pick which type of mech between the classes of mechs. And there were like 4 pilots, and it looked like 12 different mechs you could take. And it was like, oh, fuck me. This is a lot more than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting, a Street Fighter 2 vanilla-esque experience of, let's do this funny experiment, but then, never move past it because there was never another Cyberbots. But no, there's a whole thing, and the game launched, and there was a shit ton of UI, and every button does a different move, and it was like, oh, fuck, there's something here. I will come back another day because I can't handle this right now. I am not prepared. Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, it's Tetris. It's Tetris Versus. I didn't get to put enough time to say, like...
Yeah, I forgot that game was included because I'm just like, well, I already own that game because it's on the fucking PlayStation Classic.
Ha! When I was describing this collection to Mike was utterly enthused by everything except Puzzle Fighter. At Puzzle Fighter, he got mad at. He said, what the fuck? That's not a fighting game. What the fuck's a puzzle game doing? And it's like, well, he's not wrong, but at the same time, it's the Mike classic of like, he's not wrong, but it's a little overblown for him to get this mad about it, right?
Yeah.
Gem Fighter, which I thought would be the sequel to Puzzle Fighter, it is not. It's an actual fighting game, but you're playing chibi versions of various Street Fighter Darkstalkers characters. Yeah. I was very confused. I'll put in more time with that in the future.
Gem Fighter, from what I remember, works sort of like I forget the Infinity Gems did in Cross Tekken.
Oh, weird.
Or something like that. Like
I know
the gems. If I remember correctly, I haven't played Gem Fighter in roughly 15 years. So it's been a while, but somewhere around there. But yeah, if I remember correctly, in Gem Fighter, if you do like big combo and hit people a lot and like punish people and stuff like that, gems fall out of them and that gives you meter. And if you punch them,
I definitely noticed that because I kept losing all my meter.
Yeah,
That was kind.
yeah,
I can't say because I didn't put in too much time with the game. But that seemed like a definite lose more mechanic. You know,
yeah. And then I
not
think,
only do you get your ass beat, but the opponent gets more meat. You lose meter, and the opponent picks up meter, so he can beat your ass harder.
I think also if like they beat you a lot and like a lot of gems come out, then they form bigger gems that even like boost their meter more than what you had or something like that. But I can't confirm that because that's like
Ah.
that's like faint memories. So
One thing I definitely will say, I load up the game, and of course I picked Geef first, and it put me up against Ryu. And I was very confused from the beginning because Geef has a normal. Geef looks, like a chibi version of Geef, and he has a couple of his normal moves. But then I, inputted what I assume would be the hard kick button, and Geef just puts a luchador mask on and smacks the opponent with a chair.
yeah, the most of the animations are taking the piss. Like
Ryu started beating
yeah.
me with a flail.
Yeah. Akuma's move in Akuma's moveset, he for half of the match, he's not paying attention because he's doing his other side gigs, like building a house or selling food.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, Hyper Street Fighter 2. Not gonna lie, I got confused and I thought this was the sped up
Switch game.
version of. Yeah, it's the Switch game.
It is the Switch game?
It's the one. Or no, it's not Ultra, excuse me.
Okay.
Well, when you said Switch game, I wasn't thinking like Nintendo Switch. What it is when you go on the character select, it lets you choose between Vanilla Street Fighter 2, Champion, the original, what was it? That was the faster version of Champion.
Next challengers maybe? Or new challengers?
Oh, there's the way
I'm
the game
forgetting.
calls it is you can choose between original, champion, turbo. I think it next challengers and super turbo. And depending on which version, that's the actual version of the character you get. So I immediately was like, oh, just for goofs and laughs, vanilla Zangief, right?
Yeah.
And then my first opponent, actual super turbo Fei Long.
Oh no.
Fun fact, Vanilla 2 Zangief sucks ass and gets his ass beat by Super Turbo Fei Long.
Never would have guessed.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And this game in particular, when I was describing it to Mike was getting super hype. And then he asked, oh, well, how do they balance it? I said, well, I'm getting my ass beat as Vanilla Zangief right now, so they don't. Oh, fuck. Like, I want to say they even went to the trouble of having Vanilla Zangief have a more difficult timing input for the pile driver. Because I definitely seem to get more pile drivers out as Super Turbo Geef than I did as Vanilla Geef. Which, boy, that'd be attention to detail and also make Vanilla Geef unnecessarily even worse than he is.
Yeah. Although, you know what this means, though?
What's that?
You can play, I think, I forget if it's Champion Edition or New Challengers, but you can play Ryu and Ken and have air dashes.
Well, all right, that was Champion Edition that did that. Oh, one of the other things it does that's really nice, it gets rid of the stupid fucking thing of having to put in, the input for old Akuma.
Yeah.
To play Akuma. You remember how it's like, okay, you gotta, go walk around your house, press the X button. Okay, go around the whole roster, set the character select on Bison for 3 seconds, Ken for 3 seconds, Ryu for 3 seconds, Ken again for 3 seconds, Ryu this time for 10 seconds. Pick up the phone, call your mother, tell you love her, then hit the square, triangle, L2, R2, down on the D-pad, L3, the PlayStation button, and hold them all down for 5 seconds, not a second less or longer.
Then press on
uninstall afterwards.
Then press on uninstall on Capcom Fighting Game Collection and casually message to child, and you will be able to play as Akuma.
you will have a 50% chance of getting to play Akuma.
Yeah. And then another 50% chance is just DJ again. He just gets a second roster spot.
Yeah. So they got rid of all that and they just made it as simple as go to Ryu and press up. There you go. There's Akuma.
Nice.
And the other thing they did that's really nice, they let you turn on mirror matches. So you can pick vanilla Street Fighter 2 characters and have actual mirror matches. That is something you cannot do in any other version of Street Fighter 2, if memory serves. For the vanilla characters. I know they added mirror matches in Turbo, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. One thing that did crack me up, though, is if you picked, like, vanilla Street Fighter 2, outright half of the character select screen is just locked.
Nice.
Like,
it didn't exist.
Yeah, there was no vanilla Street Fighter 2 Cammy. What are you thinking?
I mean, although it would have been funny if they went back and just tried to reimagine those characters in those constraints. Like vanilla Street Fighter 2 Cammy has the Falcon Arrow. That's it. Good luck.
Yeah.
She
has the Falcon Arrow, and it's unnecessarily difficult to input.
She has the Falcon Arrow, but she has to do a tiger knee twice.
Huh. Say, which version of it was Street Fighter 2 did you say where Ryu and King could do air dash versions of the Tatsu?
I forget if it's Champion or New Challengers, but it was one of those interim games between Vanilla and or no, it wasn't Champion. It may have been New Challengers, I guess, but it was one of the interim ones between Champion Edition and Super Turbo, I think.
Okay, I am checking just to be certain. Are you certain you're not thinking of Rainbow Edition?
Yes, there is a version of Street Fighter 2 in the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection where there's like two, where you can air dash with Ryu and Ken by doing air datsus. I'm certain of this.
Huh. I am checking quickly. Oh, yep.
All right.
It's Vanilla Turbo. It's the one that came before.
It's New Challengers.
No, it's the one before New Challengers. It's the original Turbo.
Okay.
Which was called something else in the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. But I do not remember what. Oh my god, you can even do it backwards. What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm telling you. Air dashes.
That's insane.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Honestly, for Ryu and his more defensive incarnations, that would be kind of broken.
Yeah, and like this is how after fucking I don't even know how many years it would be, but I've been having a Blood Fury Vega since I've been born, more or less. This is how I finally beat him with air dashes.
Well, yeah, because Vega has like some of the best air moves in the game, so just beat him by being better in the air. Jesus. And it looks so ridiculous. It looks like Ryu's spinning his foot around at such high speeds that he's actually propelling himself through the air.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Inside game.
Even Marvel vs. Capcom Ryu can't do that, can he?
I don't think so. No, I think they adapted there was a version, two versions after the one that it introduced it. They made it so the air tattoos get drop off very fast.
Yeah,
that's the one that's the one they all have now. Although if anyone gets this shit back in Street Fighter 6, it's probably Akuma. Like they can justify it for him, I think.
Well, Ken and Akuma both already kind of take flight with their Tatsus in 5.
Yeah, but both of them, like I forget about. I think Akuma also does it, but both of them do like the Denhibiki, the Osakazaki, like fucking stepping thing instead of normal Tatsus when they do that, don't they?
Kind of, yeah. Actually, come to think that they're both doing what Gouken does in Street Fighter 4 for his Tatsu. Because Gouken's Tatsu just goes straight up.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. Suddenly that makes some more sense. Either which
So
way.
yeah,
And the last game in the collection, Red Earth, only put a bit of time into. I knew it was like considered highly unusual for being a fighting game, far, far, far more focused on single player than multiplayer. I did not know there are full blown cutscenes between each fight.
oh yeah, Red Earth is a fighting RPG, from what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not put near enough time into it, but that's definitely one I need to look into.
Red Earth is one of those
So
games where
yeah,
like
it's
Red Earth is one of those games where like I would be a lot more into it if I actually liked any of the character designs I saw from it.
heh. I didn't know Leo was a beast man. I didn't know he naturally had a lion. Didn't naturally have a lion's head. That you're supposed to be cursed to have the lion's head. I didn't know about that. I'm sure there's all kinds of lore in that game I've not discovered yet, so I'm gonna have to hit that game up soon.
Yeah.
Either which way, yeah, that's what I've been putting time into this week. Should I go into more detail on this Darkstalkers? I've already gone on for a while. Fuck it, I'll hit Darkstalkers in more detail real quick because it's the only one I put a decent amount of time into. But boy, Darkstalkers is funny because you can tell it's the immediate follow up to Street Fighter 2. Let's try and distance ourselves from Street Fighter 2 as far as possible by making characters that are as weird as possible. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of characters in Darkstalkers that honestly seem like they should have been establishing archetypes, but they didn't. You know?
Yeah.
Like, Guilty Gear and Marvel vs. Capcom both clearly tried to follow up on Darkstalkers in a lot of ways, but characters in Marvel vs. Capcom, outside of obviously the Darkstalkers characters themselves, and characters in Guilty Gear don't really seem like they're really playing off the archetypes of any of the Darkstalkers characters, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, you've got a little bit of your Shotos with Dimitri and Morrigan, but then you've got some guys who are just odd. I put a lot of time in with Sasquatch, because Sasquatch is hilarious and awesome and adorable. But Sasquatch is just kind of an oddball character. He's kind of got, Sub-Zero, Fireball, a command grab that freezes you. He makes pillars rise around himself for assure you. His foot spins. It's amazing. Oh, I guess I should go ahead and say this. I have not put any time into online multiplayer yet. I want to later, but I haven't yet. And I do hear good things about the netcode, though.
That's nice.
Yeah. Because that was one of the big questions. We get a lot of these old games to play with rollback netcode. How is it? And it sounds good. There's definitely been outpouring of praise from a lot of the big fighting game talking heads. Maximilian Dude, Justin Wong, a few others have all been saying like, "Oh, it's fucking amazing." Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, swinging a hit for Capcom. Hopefully, a good sign for what's coming with Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I believe we can call this a fighting game's whir.
All right. Well, wait. Actually, there was one topic that I found on the site that is that won't take too long, but it's weird enough that I feel like we could have some interesting takes. So there was a post that's titled "Hear Me Out." And it says Street Fighter 4 3D Edition had touchscreen controls. Now we have touchpads on PS4 and 5 pads, as well as the Steam controller and Steam Deck from Valve. They mentioned something about a simplified control scheme in Street Fighter 6. Therefore, we could actually see touch controls finally make a comeback after 11 years.
No, we can't.
Yeah. So here's the thing. For one, they revealed the simplified controls.
The PlayStation touchpad is not built for that.
I mean, let's just go over the facts real quick. They revealed the simplified controls. It's not that. For one.
Yeah.
But for two, also, like, just because 2/3 of the market may have the capability, it's still releasing on Xbox, which does not have a touchpad.
Yes.
So there's that too.
And on PC, and also on PC, there is the stupid Steam controller. But other than that, most people are going to be either playing on a Xbox controller or God help them, mouse and keyboard, neither of which have touchpad capabilities.
Or a Switch controller.
Yeah.
Like,
God, could you imagine if they released a game that forced you to get the damn Steam controller?
That is gonna be the new Half-Life.
Heh.
No, actually, that will be Portal 3.
That one, I feel like they could justify the experiment. It'd be stupid still, but
yeah. But yeah, and then there's also the thing of like the PlayStation controller's touchpad is not capable of understanding that many inputs.
The most elaborate thing you can do with it is swipe your thumb across it to fucking whistle for your horse in Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, you can paint with it in Okami.
That is true. I forgot about that.
But you can't press it in and also paint with it. You just drag your thumb while holding down square, which raises the question: why the fuck am I dragging my thumb? why am I not just using the controller then? Like, the fucking thumbstick.
Yeah.
And like there's some ways to implement that stuff, but I don't think I feel like fighting games or designing a full control thing around it. I think that's a bit too elaborate and complex for something like this to work completely.
Yeah.
Like, at most, I think what they could do with the touchpad if they wanted to experiment is have like an option in the settings where like you can do multiple taunts, and which taunt you do, it depends on the gesture you do, and that's like the most involved they can get, I think.
Yeah.
Where like instead of having like, for one, I don't think Street Fighter 6 has multiple taunts. I think, if I remember correctly, that it's supposed to have like a taunt for every character, and it's just that one for that matchup. But
yeah, there's no way they could like have multiple taunts with that. If they're gonna have personalized taunts,
Yeah, but if they didn't, then the only way they could implement the touchpad, if they really wanted to, would be just to have like 6 different generic tones that you can cycle through by doing the normal input, or you can swipe a separate gesture to have the taunt you want.
I just had a thought. What if they add a DLC add Sakura as DLC, and all of her taunts are just way too personal and full of slurs?
Is this blending off of last time's capital G gamer Sakura?
Sure. Yeah. I'm imagining like Sakura versus Ken. It's no wonder your wife left you, you limp dick, no good motherfucker.
This Sakura has her business attire on, but it's all like fucking messy, and like her hair is undone, and like she has a very minimal amount of makeup on, but it's also like smudged, and her entrance, like her animation for walking into the ring for Street Fighter 6, the loading screen, is her drinking a whole bottle of whiskey. Like, just straight from the bottle.
Every match Sakura plays, it's after a late night session at the Capcom fighting game, guys, whatever their damn name is.
And then she gets taunts like Deadpool.
Yeah.
But like I imagine she just goes on this like half a minute rant filled with slurs, and the bubble, it has just like a typeface of 5.
You're pretty well committing suicide every time you taunt, because there's no way you'll recover fast enough to get back to fighting.
Yeah,
but still, people would do it.
Yeah, but it's funny.
It would be every tournament. Whenever a guy gets salty and knows he's going to lose the set, he just switches to Sakura.
Yeah. But I'm also imagining to have something to this aside from salt. If you like, it has like an even tighter window than perfect parrying. But if you do the taunt right as our opponent would hit you, then it counts as a perfect parry. And then Sakura doesn't stop speaking while you do the parry.
The opponent is stunned during it
Yeah,
for the duration of it, so they have to listen to the full thing.
yeah.
Okay, they should actually do that with the next Marvel vs. Capcom. Have Thor's silly little speech move he does, have that function as a parry, and if the opponent does get hit, they are so mystified by the power of Thor's speaking capability that they have to just sit and watch and listen.
Yeah. But you know that's gonna be used for timer scam.
Oh yeah!
I know how to fix this. Every time Thor parries someone with this, they sit and listen. Also, the timer gets the amount of the taunt's length added to it. Prolong the suffering.
Oh yeah! It never ends.
No. Either you stop getting parried or you die. Those are your options. The timer doesn't.
Stop being so predictable, bitch.
Yeah. You know that's a thing where like if they actually implemented something like that, half, if not most, of the Marvel tournaments would end in rage quits.
Oh yeah.
Like I can just imagine fucking Justin Wong getting really good at that parry, and then just people smashing their controllers.
Yeah.
Like the idea that it doesn't even debuff the other person or anything. No, it just adds time to the timer because fuck you. You're stuck here now. That's a thing where like people would complain and get Thor banned in online play.
Give me a second.
All right. So yeah.
Oh,
You know.
all right, I'm back.
All right. You know, the sad part of us coming up with this new gimmick for Sakura that actually kind of works and it is funny is that we're gonna be so disappointed when she's just gone back to being just fucking Alpha 2 Sakura.
Why? Well, at that point, well, I can't take back Street Fighter 5 making her a grown woman. So she's gonna be like 30 in Street Fighter 6, but wearing a schoolgirl outfit.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh god. Okay, you know that if they did make she's wearing the schoolgirl outfit, but it's way too small for her. That's definitely a fetish for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And all of her wing quotes or something like, I remember these clothes fitting me. What happened? As if it hasn't been 15
Like
years.
she's just so stupid. She doesn't understand that she's grown. She is a fucking man, a woman child that thinks she's still a schoolgirl.
Yeah. I wonder why the principal keeps shooing me away during recess. I mean, to be fair, they could work both of these gimmicks into one.
Well, that's how kids are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, they could work the Sakura is Sakura for some reason doesn't understand that she's graduated from fucking school and is now a grown woman, and also she's a capital G gamer. I feel like those two gimmicks can work together.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So yeah.
Whew.
That's how you got here from fucking touch controls.
It was the only way things could have gone. It's a cursed path, you know.
Yeah.
There are many forbidden evils within the touch controls. I don't know. I'm so mystified by anyone saying, "Ooh, time for touchpad controls," that like I don't know how to react.
I mean, like one thing to think of, like touch controls could work for a gimmick for a small amount of the game. I don't think touch controls could work for the whole control of a game unless it's very simple and very on rails.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'm saying is, Mortal Kombat 11 is perfect for touch. I couldn't stop. Now, even with MK11, there's more to it than touch controls would need. Like, I think, genuinely think, I guess dive kick would work, but I don't think anything more like complex could really work.
Yeah.
Like maybe Fantasy Strike, but that's pushing it.
Yeah, that one's got too many buttons, I would think.
Yeah, like with Fantasy Strike, I think the one button specials could work because you just have the buttons on the screen and whatever. How do you move? that's my thing. Is
Good
that
question.
Like doesn't that game have jumping? I know it doesn't have
Yes,
crouching.
it does.
But, okay, so remove jumping. There you go. There's your game. So Fantasy Strike can be included if you remove even more of that game, even like pretending that the whole reason Fantasy Strike exists isn't to be like, hey, what if we just remove like big part of fighting games to try and figure out what actually needs to be there to be a fighting game. But yeah, taking a curse to the grants to see if there's any other interesting topic.
I mean, there doesn't need to be.
Yeah, that's true. It's just sometimes
we can sometimes just talk about nothing interesting at all.
All right, if you want to talk about something that's not interesting at all, Tekken 7 was in the news recently for some reason, but I don't remember why. I remember people talking about it for some reason, but it wasn't because of something Kanada said, because I would have seen it. And it wasn't a new character because I would have seen that too. Oh yeah, Tekken 7 outsold Tekken 3.
Tekken 7 has outsold Tekken 3. Okay, that took a while.
Yeah. The only game that may still have more copies sold is Tekken 5, but that's also up in the air. Like the Tekken 7 is the only single release that has sold the most in the Tekken series now, and Tekken 5 may overtake it if you consider Dark Resurrection and Tekken 5 Vanilla was the same game.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Tekken 7 is now the leading game when it comes to sales. Which obviously means that the single player content sucks and can eat dick.
Oh, to be fair, Ghost Mode is still, or is it Ghost Mode or Treasure Battle in that one?
It's Treasure Battle.
Treasure Battle, like, to be fair, Treasure Battle is more single player content than most fighting games nowadays come with.
That's true. That's very sad, but it's true. Like, the Treasure Battle and the customization suite, as fucking half-baked and barely existent as they are, is more single player content than most fighting games seem to come with right now. And also, it has a bowling DLC, a dedicated bowling game DLC. Why not?
Oh, you said bowling. I thought you said boating. I was like, wait, they've added that now too?
I mean, that would be funny. Just fucking boat out to the middle of the Atlantic as Paul Phoenix and get fucking like grabbed by aliens and have to fight them.
I'm imagining like Kazuya and Heihachi having fucking fights over who's got the bigger yacht.
Yeah. Hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nothing. I was just stretching.
I guess here's a topic that may be a bit spicy, but it would may be interesting. And we've discussed topics similar to this, but I don't think we ever straight up discussed this specifically. Like we got very close, but never specifically just like went ahead with it. But I've seen a lot of people arguing about monetization and specifically whether or not any of the ways fighting games have been monetized, whether or not they can be justified. Which is why I'm saying like we discussed things a lot surrounding this, but never this thing specifically. I don't think.
Well, the thing is with video game monetization, unless it's like obviously ridiculously bad monetization, it very quickly turns from a gaming discussion to a political discussion because it very quickly turns into a thing of, do you believe art should be monetized? And, an increasing amount of people, especially on Reddit, are inclined to the idea, no, everything should be free. And of course, there's always the old heads of like, well, when a game came out back in my day, it came with all the stuff on it. You didn't have to pay for extras. And it's like for fighting games, that's an even bigger lie than for other fucking games.
Yeah.
Because fuck me, Street Fighter 2. Oh my god, Street Fighter 2 Vanilla. You're missing half the goddamn final Street Fighter 2 roster.
Yeah.
It's, at the end of the day, I think that fighting game monetization, right now is going pretty well. Street Fighter 5, I think, didn't work out because at the end of the day, and we've talked about this before, Street Fighter 5 did not come with enough base content to justify the $60 investment. And while the DLC was handled in such a way that would appeal to people who play loads of online and would appeal to people who play in tournament, it was not really built in such a way as to justify the DLC purchases for people who are casual gamers. I think in terms of DLC content being justified for the purchase for casual gamers, as ever, you can look at what NetherRealm and what Tekken do, which is you're not just buying the character to play in matches. You're buying them in arcade mode. You're buying them to play in the other single player modes that there are, and you're buying the customization options, which for Tekken is a whole new thing to mess with, and Mortal Kombat or Injustice, it varies depending on the game, because Mortal Kombat X is not so big on the whole customization thing. But in Injustice 2 and in Mortal Kombat 11, getting all the customization options for a character is like a game in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
And while it was grindy as hell, nonetheless, it was a thing like, oh, I just bought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There are now so many goddamn pieces of gear I need to unlock for them. Boy, it's crazy in hindsight to look back and like, oh yeah, Injustice 2 featuring Sub-Zero, Raiden, Hellboy, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What the fuck?
Yeah. For my take on the whole monetization thing, it's an issue for both sides, because saying all fighting games should have no fucking like entry fee or whatever is, while like it's a thing of like, I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. Like I think fighting games should have an entry fee, because if not, then we go into freemium gaming, and we're close enough as is. We don't need any closer. But
Yeah. And it's clear that the fighting games that have made a serious try at it, Killer Instinct or Fantasy Strike, have obviously had lower budgets than, say, Street Fighter, Tekken, or Mortal Kombat did.
yeah, and also the other thing is that, like, on the other side, I also see a lot of people being like justifying um very predatory monetization, not just in fighting games, but in fighting games too. Just by saying, well, they have to pay for it, or they have to pay money to make the games too, which is fair. But my thing with this is that, like, well, supply and demand. Maybe if fighting games can justify existing, then they don't need to exist for a bit. They can go away. Like, we already have a shit ton of fighting games to play. As long as they keep porting them, which doesn't take as much work, then fuck it. Like,
Heh.
Bamco released a fucking a port of Tekken 5 Vanilla with rollback tomorrow. I'd buy it. Like, I'd probably buy it faster than I did Tekken than I would Tekken 8.
Well, it's also like some of these things, it's like, oh yeah, I'd be fine with the Tekken series going away for a good long while, because Tekken 7 was kind of a disappointment compared to Tekken 5 and Tekken Tag 2, both of which were brilliant. And there's been several fighting game series that lately have been yielding disappointing sequels one way or another. And so it can be easy to say, like, I want fighting games to just fuck off for a while until they figure out where they are.
But yeah,
At the
but
same time, I
that's the
don't.
thing is that like usually when I see these things, like it's a sweeping statement, so I'm also making a sweeping statement. Obviously, all fighting games wouldn't die because it's a genre, not a series. but
Yeah.
like maybe if the big players can justify existing, then they need to take a break and then let the little people try and do their own shit on the side, and then once they can justify being there again, then they can come back. Like
I
that's
mean,
the yeah. Go ahead.
as much of disappointments as I think some of these modern sequels have been, I don't want to, like, say, temporarily fuck them. But as ever, one thing everyone needs to consider for anyone who's listening here is that Addie and I have very different financial situation. So that is inevitably part of it. I think there is perhaps some self-awareness in some of the games now, though. I can't say for Tekken whether or not they'd try to change anything going into Tekken 8, because Tekken 7 has been such a resounding success for them. And who knows where Mortal Kombat 12/Injustice 3 will go. But Capcom obviously knows they fucked up with 5, and I'm pretty sure that they've explicitly said, we fucked up with 5. 6 needs to not do that. 6 needs to not make the same mistakes. Like, I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
that on some level, like, these are things that are just in passing. These are just things that are in vogue. These are not issues of they need to go away and rethink themselves. These are things of the expectations and the narratives that surround these situations need to change. And to be fair, a large part of the narratives also depend on what are the major voices in the community. And for a good while, people wanted better online multiplayer support. And they got it at the cost of everything else. Now, the nice thing is that ideally, there shouldn't be any point in game development nowadays, fighting game development nowadays, where they're like, let's sacrifice rollback netcode for more single player modes. Because generally speaking, once you get rollback in, it's not that there's not very much reason to get it out. It doesn't get expensive unless you're adding it backwards into a game that started not having rollback. But now you can see, well, let's be real here. Maximilian Dude is probably the most important voice in fighting games. He's a big YouTuber. Lots of people watch him, people who don't even care for fighting games. And he is getting people into fighting games all the time. And Max controlling the narrative, while it has some negative aspects, it also has some positive aspects. And we're observing right now, Max for the last year has been on a kick of fighting games need more single player content. That support for the competitive community and support for the online multiplayer community is very nice and should be encouraged, especially when it's reasonable in price to do so, which of course rollback netcode is, as long as you're putting it in from the beginning. At the same time, the overwhelming majority of casual players have no interest in competitive tournaments, have no interest in online multiplayer, or rather have too much anxiety over it, because unlike playing Call of Duty online or Overwatch online, you can't blame your teammates for your failure. And you want to instead jump to blaming the opponent or blaming the game, which even for a casual player feels dissonant, dishonest. So at the end of the day, if fighting games need to survive, and at the end of the day, if the fighting game wants to get Addie's approval, which this is a podcast featuring me and Addie, so, it's a lot of what we're going to talk about is what we personally are interested in fighting games. It needs to have a lot of single player content. And so I don't think it's necessarily a thing of fighting game developers need to go away for a while. Because, fighting game developers did go away for a while, pretty well throughout the entirety of the 2000s. And while Mortal Kombat 9 was good and Street Fighter 4 was good, there were still a lot of fuck ups in that early 2010s period, and it led into the mid and late 2010s period where there were a lot of fuck ups. There is just simply fighting games are a product of the culture that surrounds them, not just in specifically the fighting game community, but in the wider gaming community as a whole. Maximilian would not be as influential as he is if gaming as a whole was not so heavily defined right now by major voices in the community. On the YouTubes, on the Twitters, on the Reddits, on the what have yous. I mean, 15 years ago, the most significant fan of Street Fighter would have been probably like, I don't know, Alex Valle or Seth Killian. And to be fair, Seth Killian did get hired on for working on Street Fighter 4. But like, if Alex Valle had an opinion, for the most part, I don't think Capcom would have cared. Whereas now, Capcom very clearly pays a lot of attention to Maximilian Dood and brings him out for all their events, and even shows him off in their streams and says he looks like he's their father. Did you see that shit?
No.
They were showing off pictures of the Street Fighter 6 game play event when they got all the YouTubers and journalists to come in and try the game, and they all said, "Oh my god, the game's fucking amazing." And at one point, they took a picture of who's that lead developer? That there's the two lead developers they always show in the show talking on the live streams about the game. There's the one that's the bigger guy with a bit of a beard, and there's the really skinny one.
Yeah, not Ono and also not Ono. That's the only way I know them by, because they always say that name, but I can never remember.
Poor bastards.
Yeah. So the thing is, they do a great job. I just for fucking some reason I can't remember their names ever.
Yeah, but the skinny one is actually pretty short. So they showed a picture of him playing against Max in Street Fighter 6. And Max is not, Max is also a very tall guy. So they put them next to each other, and Max honestly is like double the guy's height. And so the other game developers, I guess, on the Street Fighter 6 stream started making fun of that guy, the other dev who was in the room, making fun of him for being so short, and said that him and Max playing together looked like father and son playing together.
I was kind of hoping that the joke was that, like, because because of horror though, I can never tell where some of these jokes end and begin. So I just figured. So I just figured that they would just like bring out Photoshop pictures of Max and be like, here's John Capcom, who founded Capcom back in like 1605.
The legend.
Yeah. Because the thing is, that's something Harada would do. He spent the whole first like Japanese fighting game roundtable taping pictures of Ono and other people to his camera because they couldn't be in the call.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like Harada, for his part, if I remember correctly, he spoke seriously, and for everyone else's part, he was just trolling throughout the whole thing. Which is fucking like, it's an unofficial stream where you have to be there because of your employer, and he just spent the whole thing making jokes and printing out pictures of people and taping it on to his webcam. So anyway, yeah. Let's see if I have anything else. I don't think so. So yeah, I suppose fighting games were, unless you have another topic.
None off the top of my head, other than saying, why does every character in Darkstalkers have a command grab?
Why not? Have you played my Lord and Savior Kazuki Kazama, who is a rushdown character with a command grab for some reason that you can charge, and it does 75%, by the way, if you charge it. Like, that guy has a side gimmick where you can summon these fire charges. It's literally just a fireball. You can have 3 charges on it, and if you get knocked down, it attacks the enemy team, so they can't melee you, or the enemy team, the enemy fighter, so they can't melee you. If you do like any special move, it like makes it hit harder and stuff like that. And for the grab, you can use only like 2 charges, I think. But if you use two charges to do the grab, it does like 75%, at least in 5 special. It's great.
Huh.
Like I played a guy as a very very athletic grab character. Because why wouldn't I at that point? Most of it, like he has a fireball and he has a grab kick that can do 75%.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm thinking that's why. Just fuck it, why not? Might as well.
Might as well. As good a reason as to do anything.
Yeah. You know, I want to get the fighting collection as well. But I already dread going back to fucking trying to remember how to play John Talbane. Because the last time I played Darkstalkers was also around 15 years ago. So
Oof.
yeah. So I remember playing John Talbane and I think BB Hood was in that game. But I don't remember
Well,
the roster.
especially if you want to go back to the original Darkstalkers, John Talbane's probably got different inputs for all his moves.
Oh, don't worry, I don't remember any inputs. I remember the moves
Okay.
happening. I remember the moves happening. I don't remember how I did them. So that won't be an issue.
Don't forget that if you play the Japanese version, because the game lets you play the Japanese version of any of the games, he's not John Talbane. He's Gallon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember back. I used to have a version of Mugen that was compiled by someone. I don't know. I just found it on the internet randomly. That used the everything versus everything like basis, and it was called that too. And I remember being like, well, okay, so here's John Talbane. Here's Gallon. They feel exactly the same. Huh.
Yeah.
But there were
This
a
must
couple.
be his evil clone.
Yeah. I mean, there were a couple like that because I also remember there was there were definitely both of the zeros, like both Clone Zero and Normal Zero, and also Normal Zero had 2 versions, and also Mizuchi and Orochi in the same game. Fuck you, it's the same sprite but with a different name.
Technically, they're different people.
Technically, yes, but technically it's not good enough for me. There were a couple funny ones like that. That were like basically just like the same character twice with different names because well they came from different games or you know it was different versions of the same game so why might as well.
With like half the Darkstalkers characters, honestly, they could just stick in different versions of each other with the Japanese names.
It would be a different character.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't tell. Some of these characters, I can't tell which is a more awkward name. Fucking Fishman in America, Rikuo. In Japan, Olbeth. Those are both awkward names.
I mean, it seems like they were going for like names from the other side. Like Riku sounds like a Japanese name, and Opes sounds like a Japanese person trying to sound American. Or you know, make like
yeah, they both sound like bad attempts at it.
Yeah.
Rikuo definitely sounds like a fake, dumb American idea of what Japanese names sound like.
I mean, there was that game, Kingdom Hearts, with the character Riku. So if we had an O at the end of it, it's gonna be fine.
You mean the game that didn't exist yet and wouldn't exist for another 10 years?
Yeah. They saw the future.
Yeah. Oh, man. Fighting games are awesome at the end of the day.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess fighting games were?
Yes, fighting games once were, and they shall be again someday. So saith the prophecy.